The South African rand fell on Tuesday as uncertainty around possible coalition partners persisted following last week's election.
Our people have spoken.
In the past week, negotiations between the ANC and DA deteriorated after President Cyril Ramaphosa altered the terms of a previous offer to the John Steenhuisen-led party on Wednesday night. The revised ANC proposal offered the DA fewer cabinet seats. This prompted the DA leadership to threaten to abandon the GNU unless Ramaphosa adhered to the original offer. The ANC deemed the DA's demands outrageous and began negotiating with other parties as a contingency plan. A subsequent meeting between Ramaphosa and Steenhuisen reportedly resolved their differences and eased tensions. However, during this period, the rand experienced an unprecedented meltdown. Whenever news favourable to the DA leaked, the rand surged, but reports of the EFF and MK party meeting with the ANC about a potential partnership caused it to plummet. The nation spent weeks observing the rand's fluctuations. Opinion pieces from analysts suggested that the DA holding significant economic ministries could benefit the rand. This raised questions about why the rand seemed to favour white parties with roots in apartheid. Does the rand perceive black-led parties as unstable? Is the rand biased? In today's video, I am going to try and answer those questions. The agreement between the ANC and DA raised investor hopes for accelerated economic reforms to tackle the nation's energy crisis, repair collapsing ports and railways, and reduce crime and corruption. Political analyst Kaya Sitole told a publication that markets favoured the DA joining the GNU because the party is unlikely to demand radical economic policy shifts. However, this is debatable, given the DA's issues with redress policies embedded in the constitution. Sitole pointed out that markets are supportive of the continuation of current government policies and programs. Conversely, the EFF's recent demands, including loud calls for land expropriation, and the party's reputation for protests, inconsistency, and political maneuvering, have caused market concern. Consequently, investors have continued to pour significant funds into South African government bonds. South African government bonds are among the most liquid and traded developing market fixed income securities globally. The South African rand, like many emerging market currencies, is quite volatile. A currency's trade trajectory must always be considered in the context of currency pairs. So you first need to look at the rand's performance over the last 5 years and compare it to the dollar's performance. The rand's fluctuations, typically between 0% and 1%, are statistically stable, contrary to what the media often suggests. Global movements significantly impact a country's currency evaluation. As the US dollar is the global reserve currency, changes in US interest rates immediately affect South Africa due to the interconnected global market. To avoid long-term dependence on US dollar evaluations, South Africa needs to reach a level of economic independence similar to that of China or Russia. Despite facing over 9,000 sanctions, Russia thrives due to its currency independence. Do not anthropomorphize the South African rand by assuming it is biased towards white people. Analysts are responsible for creating that narrative. It is crucial to understand that the currency's moodiness, if you will, affects all South Africans, regardless of their socio-economic status. I won't dwell on how it benefits privileged South Africans, because I am more concerned about its impact on the lower class. For them, currency fluctuations can mean more jobs. Investments flowing into different parts of the country can lead to job creation, but not in a way that promotes economic equality. Instead, it often results in people of colour earning minimal wages, which ultimately enriches the already wealthy while keeping the poor in poverty. The rand is also susceptible to manipulation.
Domestic and foreign banks manipulated the rand's value
is part of the private sector's effort to destabilize government.
The Competition Commission is investigating at least 19 banks for currency fixing, and there is a video on this channel explaining that scandal. Recently, another trader was placed on probation after orchestrating $700 million in trades. a story that received little coverage. This lack of attention may stem from concerns that such manipulation could be seen as an attempt to pressure ANC leadership into maintaining their partnership with the DA. But then, why is the Rand overreacting? The Rand is responding to the sentiment of hundreds of thousands of financial advisors, analysts, traders, brokers, and merchants who draw their own conclusions about South Africa's prospects based on the political situation. The reason we lack a comprehensive picture is that most news alerts have platformed analysts who favor the ANC and DA partnership. Ultimately, the Rand's value is determined by demand and supply in the currency market, and it won't collapse simply because the EFF is part of the government. It is incorrect for some commentators to claim that all European and US investors will allow the Rand to fall to unprecedented levels. Across the developing world, assets have suffered in recent months due to election volatility. The UK is currently facing its worst financial crisis and cost of living issues in history. France is struggling with governance, and the US is dealing with both human rights challenges and poor leadership. During last Thursday's debate, the markets had mixed reactions. The Rand is also hampered by corruption and maladministration, which prevent funds from being effectively used to uplift society and address rising problems. For example, if the government fails to tackle issues like service delivery, politics, and the cost of living, these problems could lead to a reaction similar to what we saw in Kenya, if not worse. Think of an increase in protests, violence, and damage to infrastructure, as South Africans often express their frustrations by damaging the very infrastructure they need, leading to further instability. Consequently, the environment becomes unattractive for investment. Investors take a holistic view, and if a country cannot take care of itself, it is unlikely to take care of its investments. However, the Rand should not have been largely used to influence coalition agreements, because the last time it was strong, apartheid was prevalent, and black people didn't have basic rights. Using something that historically didn't benefit the rightful owners of this country to gain control of the government is manipulative and morally wrong.